You're listening to Let's Stay Together Anime Break, the sub-series of Let's Stay Together where we talk about the 2019 anime Fruits Basket. I'm Ellen.
And I'm Kayla.
And today we're discussing Season 2, Episode 7. Let's start the watermelon splitting contest.
Woo.
Yay! Let's start the watermelon splitting contest.
Yeah.
Did everyone bring their own watermelon? And their own fists?
BYOW.
BYOW. BYO karate skills.
Yes.
This episode... Oh, we're going to do our summary spoiler-free discussion, the spoiler-free discussion like we always do. This episode covered chapters 58 and 59 of the manga, and we covered this, shockingly, in one episode, as opposed to two, in our episode 30, which was called I'll Keep Going Forward.
It's like, whose title is better?
Yeah. I'm not going to say. I mean... Well, there's poignancy and there's humor, and I don't think that the anime is going for poignant titles like I was. So it's just a different vibe, everybody has their thing. This episode opens at the beach. Yuki is approached by a barefoot Akito. Akito smiles menacingly. Yuki clenches his fists, and Akito whispers something in his ear. Yuki looks upset. He narrates, I want to believe that I wasn't deluding myself. I want to believe that it's not all pitch black. Even if the rain pelted down on me, the sun would shine again. Even if the pain overwhelmed me, kindness continued to shower on me. Ever since that day, always. He remembers putting the hat on Tohru as a child, and then we cut to the opening theme. The end. I mean,
Yay.
Yay! Yay! Darkness. On the beach, Hiro answers a phone call. It turns out his mother is pregnant. It wasn't a cold after all, like she thought. Kisa and Tohru are overjoyed, and Hiro is like, I'm not the one having the baby. Congratulations, Shigure says from the steps nearby. Satsuki-san, so young. Hiro sasses him like, don't say it that way. Kisa asks if Shigure will swim, and he jokes that he's just there to admire swimsuits, and Hiro drags Kisa away. Shigure also asks Tohru where everyone else is, and Tohru says they are buying groceries. Shigure suggests that they then take this chance to go on a date, but the boys arrive back in time to glare menacingly and prevent anything from happening between Shigure and Tohru.
It's like Tohru being like, no, sensei, don't.
No, you can't do that. In the next scene, he's also holding Shigure's fan, which is funny to me. On their way back to the house, the kids all talk about the baby. Tohru wonders if it'll be a boy or a girl, but Momiji says it would be sad if it was a girl, because Hiro wouldn't be able to hold her. But no more Soma kids will be born possessed. All the spirits of the Zodiac have been born. People normally have kids because they want them, huh? Yuki says. The kids say that apparently when Hiro was born and held and turned into a sheep for the first time, his mother said, I love sheep. A wonder of a mom, Haru says. Also, for some reason in the translation they said goat, the goat / sheep, and I was like, it is interchangeable, but very weird when you know that he's a sheep.
Yeah, he's very much
drawn as a sheep, not a goat. How dare! I'm very insulted by this.
His attitude is rather goat-like, though.
He does seem like, he would headbutt you for snacks, for sure.
Yeah.
At a petting zoo. Not that I would know from personal experience.
Eat your skirt,
Yeah, pretty much. Chew on anything nearby. Tohru wonders what the other kids' parents are like. Momiji checks on her and asks if the watermelon she's carrying is heavy. She says it's fine, but they did buy a lot. That's because if you have a lot of melons, you have to have a watermelon smashing contest, Momiji shouts, and we transition to the yard of the vacation house, where the melons have all been laid out on a tarp to prevent waste. To celebrate Hiro's mama having a baby, Momiji shouts, and Haru is like, pretty lame way to celebrate. Hiro's like, will someone realize that this celebration doesn't make me happy in the slightest? Momiji hasn't prepared the requisite blindfold and stick, and when Yuki points this out, he's like, what for? Haru steps forward up to the pile and karate chops straight through a melon. Become an older brother who split the melon, he says. Sagely, and Momiji screams with delight as Haru picks up a piece of melon and starts eating it. Tohru says that she'll try. She's done this before, but it was with a blindfold and stick, she says, and I had so much fun, especially when But she cuts herself off, remembering Hiro sassily asking her why she always talks about her mom so much. My gumshoe, she says, and the others are like, gumshoe, while Tohru freaks out internally about being insensitive about talking about her mom all the time. Momiji asks if the gumshoe was fun. I had to look up what a gumshoe was.
It's like a detective, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just an old school term for for detective from, I'm guessing the film noir days. I can't remember what the timeline was, but
I mostly know this from Ace Attorney, so.
That's good. It's just funny because in the translation it was in Japanese it was like that specific word for like an Edo era thief. So I guess gumshoe is a way of making it also like an antiquated term. I don't know. It's really funny. Anyway, Tohru lifts her hand to smash the watermelon and then brings it down with a hi-ya! But nothing happens, except maybe pain just reverberating from her wrist all the way up to her spine. Congratulations, she manages to squeak out as tears drip from her face. And Kyo wonders if she's crying because she didn't break it or her hand hurts. Kisa says that she'll try too, and Hiro's like, please don't. Momiji suggests that they just throw them, and then everyone has a blast. After the watermelon splitting contest, Haru and Yuki clean up. Haru says that when he was a kid, he was the kind of kid who believed that a melon would grow in your stomach if you ate the seed, and Yuki is like, really? Yuki looks inside and sees Momiji, Kisa, and Hiro laying on the floor asleep. He watches as Tohru covers them gently with a blanket. He remembers the past inside the dark traditional room of the main estate. Every day Akito would visit and deny everything, he narrates. He would tell me pitch black things in that pitch black room, deny the things I imagined, deny the things I desired. And in the present he watches Tohru pat Momiji's head gently. Tohru smiles tenderly. Kyo enters the room, and Tohru gestures for him to be quiet. Yuki turns away and he tells Haru he's going for a walk and leaves. Yuki, Haru says, it's an ordeal. Inside, Kyo and Tohru talk. Kyo asks if Hiro said something to her. Tohru worries what she has to say might hurt him, and he tells her to spit it out or whatever it is. Tohru asks about his parents. Kyo says that he's estranged from his biological father and that his mother was killed in an accident a long time ago. Kyo understands the issue now. Tohru's mom has nothing to do with Junichi's parents, he says. Tohru hesitates to deny him. He asks about the watermelon splitting incident with her mom, and Tohru tells the story. She says that when she was young, she and her mother tried to split the watermelon in the front yard of their apartment, or in the yard of their apartment complex. Tohru missed it, and her mom ends up missing and hitting some flower pots. The neighbors complain, and so they bring the game inside of the apartment, and her mom ends up breaking the altar of her dad, but eventually they manage to break the watermelon and share it. It was, Tohru says, and then she cuts herself off. She looks at Kyo, who smiles tenderly. It was fun, he asks. Yes, it was fun, she says with a bright smile. Outside, Shigure reads in a gazebo. Hatori suddenly shows up and tells him that he came with Akito and sasses him for putting ideas in Akito's head. Don't get carried away with your jokes, Hatori says, and then twirls a scalpel threateningly at him, or I'll slice your guts open. Shigure says that Akito would bring Hasan, his favorite, and Hatori says he's not the only one who Akito brought. Elsewhere, on his walk, Yuki notices the mysterious Kureno, who has accompanied Akito, it turns out. Akito sits out on the wave breakers looking at the sea. At the back of the gazebo, Hatori warns Shigure to be more careful. Don't forcibly stir things up. Things will get more twisted, he says. Twisted? Shigure asks. We can't be any more twisted than we already are. I'd rather have Akito stir things up. Or else I'll never get what I want. Back at the shore, Akito notices Yuki. He taunts him that he's alone as usual. You're such a lonely child, Akito says. Yuki remembers Haru saying, it's an ordeal, as Akito walks over and thinks, in order to fight. We transition back to the beach house. Shigure wakes up the kids and takes them to go and greet Akito, who will be staying in the annex of the beach house. For now, Tohru doesn't have to go. She can stay with Kyo. She worries about Kyo being left out again, and he tells her not to. Kyo tells her that Akito enjoys ridiculing others. He's always been like this. The mood drops and a beat of silence passes between them. Roar! Tohru shouts, and said that she shouldn't feel glum, and Kyo's like, whatever, just calm down. And Tohru vows to make a great dinner for everyone to return to, and then Kyo suggests pancakes, and that's what she makes. As they all walk away from the main house to the annex house, it's not the main house, the beach house to the annex house.
The main beach house.
They got transitioned to the main house. The main beach house. As the kids all walk away with Shigure from the main beach house to the annex house, Kisa and Hiro hold hands. Hiro asks if Kisa is okay, and she says she is, but she was worried about Tohru, and she remembers being in the hospital. Momiji looks back at them and comments to Haru on how they look gloomy, which is of course not unexpected. He wonders if Yuki is okay. Haru tells Momiji not to worry about himself. Akito doesn't like him very much. Momiji says he's used to it, though he does want to go back soon. At the annex house... At the other house, I think they called it the guest house in the
At the Akito house.
At the Akito house, where Akito is. Hatori greets Shigure and the kids. Hatori immediately asks if Tohru is there, and Shigure confirms that she isn't. He asks about Akito, who's in a bad mood from the heat, Hatori says. Shigure comments that it's weird that he brought Kureno, and Hatori suggests that Akito might feel more secure with him there. Shigure asks if Ren-san meddled in things, and Hatori's like, you know you're not supposed to bring that up. As they approach the room where Akito is, Akito calls for Shigure from inside. Shigure enters and greets him. Kureno sits beside him. Akito says to Shigure, didn't I tell you to come straight to me once you arrived? I know you're an idiot, but at least try to be more shrewd in your actions. Absolutely right, I'm sorry, Shigure says cheerfully. Akito then dismisses Kureno. Hatori suggests letting everyone see Kureno once in a while, and Akito says that's nonsense while hugging Hatori. Akito says that he saw Yuki earlier, walking alone, and he was nice enough to speak to him. Akito has always cared for Yuki, after all. I gently admonished him, Akito says, almost proudly. I told him to stop deluding himself. He looked pretty shocked, so he's probably off sniffling somewhere by now. So like Yuki. Akito leans back and laughs, as if this is the best joke that he's ever told. Such an idiot, he says. You should just return to me already. I'm gracious enough to need someone as useless as him. Shigure sucks up to Akito like, you're so right. Anyway, how about we go and greet the others? And Akito is like, I guess so. Akito tells Shigure not to leave without his permission as he stands and leaves. After Akito leaves, Shigure asks if Hatori is mad. He says no. Despite your methods, you are trying to make a change, unlike me. Shigure grabs Hatori's shoulders and shakes him and says, what the heck? This is when you're supposed to reprimand me. And Hatori's like, I won't. Shigure chuckles and says he's too nice. Shigure, however, is a schemer, and Yuki won't always be the locked-up kid he used to be. Who's the actual most deluded idiot of all, I wonder. Akito enters the room where all the kids are sitting and waiting. Thank you all for coming, he says. I love you all. Back at the house. The big house where everyone is staying. Tohru worries that everyone is still out. She decides to go outside and check for them. And outside she remembers how scared Yuki was when they saw Akito at school. She stops on the beach, and Yuki runs into her there. The clouds clear, and the beach is bathed in moonlight. Tohru says that she's glad to see him, and he says that he went for a walk and lost track of the time, and that they should go back. Tohru sees a shooting star and grabs him to point it out in the sky as more start to fall, and Yuki smiles. I probably actually knew in the back of my mind what would happen if I opened the lid. What I must do, what I should do. It's so simple. It's so hard, but it's so simple, he says. Did you open the lid? She asks. Thanks to Akito, he says, and he steps closer. Thank you for always being willing to lend an ear. Thank you for always accepting my weaknesses. Yuki remembers running ahead and leading Tohru home as a child. Thanks for not forgetting a memory long ago, he thinks. I was so happy that I could save you when you got lost. I was instilled with the fact that I was useless, but that day, at that time, at that very moment, it was the only time I ever felt needed. And you probably don't know how happy that made me. You probably don't know that you're the one who's always saving me, he says to her. He remembers times before with her, holding down the secret base during the storm, asking to still be his friend if her memories are erased, and playing badminton together. He thinks, you've always shared your kindness, warmth, and joy with me. You kept showering me with them so generously. That's why I won't lose. I'll keep going forward. I can definitely keep believing. But why, Tohru asks, why do you look so sad? He shrugs and smiles, a wry smile, takes her shoulders, and then kisses her forehead. That's because you're just like the sky, he thinks, and he starts to cry. I'm so sad because you're so dear to me. And then we cut immediately to the end card because all of that was happening during the credits. The end.
Yay. Question.
Yay. I mean, it was sad, but it was a very good episode. I think I saw on the Tumblr that this was probably like a favorite so far, I think, out of all of the episodes. I think a lot of people were like, oh my god. Very poignant from Yuki.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it was a pretty dramatic episode.
It was. I feel like it was one of the most dramatic so far, probably especially for Yuki, because like in the last season, like the end of it focused on Kyo, right? So this is almost like Yuki's true form arc.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking about in the first episode how it was like kind of focused on Yuki and stuff, and how it felt like that was kind of setting the stage for a Yuki-centric season.
Yeah, and we're in it. It's happening. There were a lot of nice, like, light moments in this too, but I feel like this episode and like probably this whole part of the series, like this whole beach time that we're in, all of these like fun things are always sort of like punctuated, or there's this undercurrent of like darkness that follows all of them. So like I feel like a good example of that is when they're walking up the back to the house and they're all like, yay, the baby. Oh, well, it can't be possessed anymore, but if it's a girl, then Hiro can't hug it, and then Tohru thinks about all their parents, and there's these sort of like intermixed like the fun of the watermelon smashing, but then like the sort of like immediate worrying about understanding everyone's family situation that Tohru has never really tried to do. So. And her own situation with her mom.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a turning point where like it becomes like more of a like humor with some drama, and becomes more of a drama with some humor.
Yes. There's definitely, I feel like the feeling of this episode was primarily drama, for sure. There were some lines from this, like I feel like the last episode had like 3 chapters smushed in, which worked out fine. This one had just the 2 that focused on these times with Yuki and Akito. And like I think the dialogue was mostly the same.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I don't think anything was cut or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, there were some lines that really stood out to me a lot more in this episode than they did, or, like, they had a different kind of, like, weight or feeling, I guess, you know, when after being animated. So, of course, the whole end, like, Yuki's whole monologue at the end is great. But the, which I guess we can talk about separately, but I was thinking, like, the line where Yuki's like, I guess people really do have, like, kids to, because they want to, right? Like, I was like, ow, right in the feels. Like,
yeah, like the way he says it is like genuinely kind of a wondering tone, like it never occurred to him before. So
yeah, so that's very interesting. I just thought it really stands out in that conversation that they're having, and it was interesting that way.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly straightforward adaptation this episode. Like without even like any like timeline stuff that it occasionally does. It's pretty much like a straightforward adaptation of the chapters as far as I remember. But yeah, just hearing some of the lines said out loud and, you know, with inflection and stuff definitely kind of makes them stand out.
I also feel like the way they animated the scene where Tohru covers the kids with the blankets and stuff. So I think there's a lot of talk. I don't think we've even talked about it. Maybe we have talked about it in the anime breaks, but I think so. Back in the day when people were reading the manga for the first time, and as we were reading through the early parts of the manga the first time in our, you know, when we were exploring the manga and discussing it, there was a lot of debate about Yuki and Tohru as like love interests and what's his, you know, relationship with her is kind of ambiguous. But I feel like the way this scene is animated, where it's very clearly like shown that she's like taking this very like kind of tender and motherly approach to the kids, while he's being like, there was something that I wanted, and Akito came and like told me that I was deluded for wanting these things, that I would never have them. It makes a very strong connection about like the way that he thinks about her, as not necessarily being romantic, but being more of like a motherly figure who cares for him. So I feel like the way that it's animated makes that idea a lot clearer.
Yeah, I definitely think it like went out of its way to kind of like emphasize that kind of concept.
Just slow-mo blanket drop, you know? Yeah. Really emphasizes it.
Also the like the exact wording during his like little speech at the end, where like in the manga I think it just says like I love you.
Yeah.
Which is obviously meant to, you know, evoke shipper wars.
Yes.
But in the story, just is like, you're so dear to me.
Yes. And also, yeah, the way that I didn't bring the volume with me or anything, but maybe it's like the way it's translated and has to be positioned in the word bubbles and stuff like that in the manga too. But so it could be like that. But he says, you're like that sky. I'm sad because you're dear to me. Like, you're like that sky. The way that you keep, you know, showering me with your affection and attention, and you listen to me and kindness and all that stuff. It's just very clear, I think, what the intention is with what he's saying and how he feels. In addition to just being like a nice scene that's well animated and very touching. The way that the voice actor, the Yuki's voice actor, delivers those lines is very touching, I think. I couldn't do it justice in my summary. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize to the world.
But yeah, it does a good job of making it a very like emotional and like touching scene without like really seeming like a romantic scene, I think.
And without overdoing it too. Like, it's like he has a way of delivering it also where it seems like it's difficult to say these things. Like, there's a lot of like pauses and like deliberate like struggling to kind of think and say the things that he's saying. So I think that adds a lot to it as well.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like he's like these are new thoughts that he's like vocalizing for the first time.
Opening the tightly closed lid, perhaps.
Yes.
I always liked where he's speaking really ambiguously to her and she just like runs with it. Where he's like, I know what I need to do now. And then she says, did you open the lid? It's like, I feel like they have some kind of like joint understanding of this metaphor. It's nice.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I feel like that's like, I can't remember exactly, but I feel like in the anime they like kind of linked her use of the lid metaphor to Yuki's more. Like, I think they both kind of used it more separately in the manga.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember there's like a scene directly where she like heard him say it and like kind of said it to herself, and then
Yeah,
like
thought of her mom.
wound up using it later. So
Mm.
I like it as kind of a like sort of like just understood thing between them,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like they both kind of like probably couldn't like voice what they mean by it, but they both understand.
Yeah, I have things that I don't want to. The things that I want to keep under control. I have feelings that I want to keep under control.
Yeah.
Right now, and if I loose them, it's going to cause a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yuki is at the point where he said, "Yeah, thanks to Akito, I've realized the way that I feel and whatever." So it's kind of the gist of what he says.
Yeah.
Yuki growth.
Mm-hmm. Sweet, sweet character development.
Akito managed to be scary again.
Yeah.
In a very brief time. When I was writing my summary, I was like, oh, should I include this dialogue? And then I was like, actually, this is the most of Akito we've really seen.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we had talked about this when we talked about the manga too, where we were like, the beach, it felt like it had been a long time between the beach and like the last time we saw Akito before the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the same about the anime, where it's like the most recent things that we've seen have been like flashbacks of like baby Akito, not like the current Akito. And the beach, this time, I feel like we need to kind of, it's time that attention needs to be paid to Akito. So thus Akito's dialogue is included. But
yeah,
it's the most we've seen Akito like talk and interact with other people. So. Other than Shigure, especially.
Yeah.
The way that Akito opens the door and is always like, thanks for coming, I love you all. It always freaks me out. It gives me the chills.
Yeah. I like the animation of Akito just like being all like draped over
Hatori.
Like
it's also good, yes.
Yeah, like we have the scenes in the manga, but like the way it's like shows the like almost like flopping movement where he's just like got all his weight on Hatori and he's just leaning there like Hatori's a piece of furniture.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And also the way that he like dismisses Kureno from the room and stuff. It's just like, get out of here, and then he just leaves silently. It's like, okay. Yeah, they're all kind of, it's like that possessiveness of other people. And like getting so close to not other people, but the Junichi specifically, I guess. The way that he also gets up in Yuki's grill on the street too, immediately. It's like, not like a greeting from afar, but like a, oh, it's Yuki with like arms out, and then comes up and like whispers directly in his ear. Like, so invasive.
And I liked how they had like Kureno in the background just like quietly turning away like while this happening.
Just being like, turning away and being like, whatever. Like, not going to intervene. You have all these other people in the story. A bunch of other people are worried about Yuki. Everybody's worried about Yuki. Momiji and Tohru and like Hatori are all like, so what about Yuki? And Shigure is like, what about him? Just but and like Haru, I guess too. I don't know if he said anything specifically, but I would classify him as one of those people where they're all sort of concerned about what's going to happen between Yuki and Akito. So but yeah, the way that the scene between Hatori and or like Shigure and Hatori and Akito is acted, where Akito like cackles hysterically, is also really creepy and good. Just like, that idiot, bahaha, so great. So like self-confident, and I love the way that Shigure is like, who do you think's the biggest idiot, the most deluded idiot of all, you know? Oh, I feel like that was also well situated, or sort of like well just demonstrated in the anime too, where Akito leaves and then he says that right at the end. So it does make Akito seem pretty delusional. The way that he acts. So
especially since we go like right from that into, you know, Yuki's kind of like self-declaration. Of being like, no, I'm like, Akito's wrong, I'm not that person anymore, kind of thing.
I wasn't deluded. You gave me hope, and I know that there's there's better things in this world. And Akito was wrong.
I also like how the anime kind of linked like Yuki's past situation with Kureno's current situation, with having the like line about like Yuki not being the like locked up kid anymore, over top of like Kureno sitting alone in a room where he's been dismissed.
I did notice that.
Yeah.
It's like a nice like dark room too, and he's just sitting there like he's waiting for Akito to like come fetch him again. You know,
yeah.
So obedient. Like it's very interesting. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. I don't think that that's really done in the manga, so it's kind of an interesting connection to make. That's made by the anime crew.
Yeah.
Kureno does seem to be like kept. I mean, we saw the way that he came back to the house in the episode with Uo. And he like returns, and then Akito immediately like drapes himself on Kureno too.
Yeah.
So we talked about Akito being deluded, which was great, and deluded and scary.
Yeah.
And
it's the worst kind.
Yes. And then Kureno's sort of waifish involvement in the episode, just being around.
Kind of being a kept man.
Yeah, he is a kept man, but like kept in a very specific and abusive way.
It's like literally kept.
Yes. We talked about Shigure and Hatori. Oh, I also liked Shigure being like, "What? You're supposed to reprimand me?" And he was like shaking Hatori. I actually laughed out loud because like I don't think it was exactly like that. I mean, it wasn't drawn like that in the manga, right? So we have this like pretty comedic reaction, and I liked that. It was funny.
I like it, Hatori being like, "I'm not going to scold you," and Shigure being like, "But you know that's worse."
Also, Hatori brandishing a scalpel at him was kind of weird and funny. The night school doctor strikes again.
Yeah.
He's like, "What's this for again?"
It's like, it's pointy, so.
Definitely threatening. I always appreciate how concerned for Tohru Hatori is, where he was like, "Don't get Tohru and Yuki and Kyo wrapped up in this thing." And then they get to the house and he's like, "Did you bring Tohru?" And Shigure's like, "No." That's like the very first thing that he asks. So it was charming. Yeah.
Yeah. I also liked a little bit with the Momiji's like shoujo magic of Tohru, and he's like, "I really do want to go back soon."
That was also a nice, like it was in the manga, but it was nicely animated too. It's like, yes. Yeah. Delicious drama. Haru continued to be understated but effective main character.
Yeah.
While talking to Omiji, and then also smashing a watermelon with his bare hands.
Yeah.
Most importantly of all.
It's like being a big brother who could smash the watermelon or whatever.
Be a big brother who smashed a watermelon or something like that. And Hiro's like, "You don't make any sense." Like, I love it. Yeah. It's good advice. I feel like it transcends, it's a metaphor, and Hiro just wasn't sophisticated enough to understand. And then there was a little bit, Kyo and Tohru got to be alone, so there was some good Kyo Tohru situations where he was the one who enabled her to open up about her mom and the story about her mom, which was nice. And finally figured out what Hiro did to make her upset. So, and I was like, "Don't worry about it. What the fuck?" You know?
Also like Hiro being like, "Oh, it really did affect her."
He's like, "Crap." And it's like, yeah. He's still learning how to people, as stated. Yes. He only knows how to goat. I mean.
Yes. He knows how to be like, "Hey, give me that biscuit."
Yeah. And then like it just like stands and like chews with mouth like sliding from side to side. Never ending animal headcanons. I guess a sheep would do that too, though. So, you know. There was the good little like Kisa and Hiro holding hands, being cute. That was sweet. And then yes, of course we learned I guess it's a big reveal that Hiro's going to have a baby sibling, which is exciting. Yeah. So. It's very cute. I love how we talked about this before, but it still blows my mind that I guess it's just supposed to allude to his mom's kind of character, that she was like, thought she had a cold, found out she was pregnant. Yeah. It's an episode of I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant right there. Yeah. I think we made that joke before too, but that's fine.
She's like, "I always get morning sickness during my colds."
Yeah. So, anyway, but it's funny nonetheless, and I love how bitter he is about it. And everyone's like, "Congratulations," and he's like, "I'm not happy." Yeah.
It's like, stop making it sound like the baby is mine.
Yeah, that was also funny. I love how immediately they freak out. Tohru and Yuki are like, yes! So cute! You need to pick a good name. And Toru's like, I'm sure the baby will look just like you. And he's like, what the hell? So cute. I feel like those are all the non-spoiler things that we can say right now. It was very sweet.
Yeah.
Hope everyone enjoyed it. Lots of music in this one, too.
Yeah.
I didn't really talk about it that much, but there was, like, a lot of background music, and there was, like, the end, the scene with Yuki and Tohru had the...
Really dramatic music.
Yes, really dramatic music with lyrics, which isn't used very much in the anime, so that was a standout moment.
As a side note, the shooting stars kind of made it look like Earth was under attack.
It reminded me of House Moving Castle, for sure. Where I was like, wow, there's a lot of shooting stars. And then I was like, what meteor shower happens in the summer? Well, I'm not going to answer this question. Thinking about it too much. Because, like, I don't remember what it was like in the manga, but there's, like, I think there's just, like, one shooting star, which is reasonable. Not, like, 50 at the same time and then nothing. But listen, I'm not going to harp on a beautifully acted, dramatic scene. Let's just leave it at that. The color was nice. It was, like, this nice, like, purpley...
Yeah, it looked very nice. It was just a lot of shooting stars.
It all changed when the aliens attacked.
Yeah.
I don't have any other things to say. I want to talk about some spoiler things, though, perhaps. So. Okay, so unless there's any spoilers, next time we'll be talking about the episode that was announced at right immediately after the end of what Yuki says. It was called, Well, It's True. So... Okay.
Descriptive as always.
Always. All right. Thank you all for listening. We will see you for that next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, it's true.
Is it though?
I like her just like, oh, okay, like credits are playing, and then it's just like, you're so dear to me. And then like, well, it's true.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Okay, I believe you.
The episode's over now. I understand. But I had a cute Kisa on the title card this time, so that was fun. One of the spoiler things that I want to talk about is the line this time where Yuki said people normally have kids because they want them, huh? And it just, of course, alludes to like more drama yet to come from Yuki, I think. It's interesting how that whole scene really affects Tohru a lot too, so. But I guess it's just like the realization that she doesn't know anything about their parents or their families outside of the somas that she knows, right?
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah. I've always liked that, like, when she like hesitantly asked Kyo about his parents, she's just like, "Oh, I thought I already told you." Like, just assumed it was something he'd already shared with her.
Yeah, as if it's not that. But then he does also hesitate to tell her he's about to say my mom killed herself, but then he says was killed in an accident. So, it's another spoiler that's also revealed by that scene, I guess, or not revealed, but alluded to. We haven't even gotten there in the manga yet.
That's toward the end when we get the full reveal on that. I mean, I think
we'll be there soon.
Yeah, we've gotten the illusion that people believe that she killed herself because of being the cat's mom, but we don't get the full reveal that it's because his dad was an abusive asshole.
Yes. It's also interesting that we've met Kyo's dad in the anime, of course, by this point, but Kyo says he hasn't seen him in a long time. So.
Yeah.
But he will, too.
It's like, I'm estranged from my biological father. It's like, no wonder.
Yeah, no shit. It's a nice way to say it.
Yeah. It's a very diplomatic way to describe his relationship to his father.
Yes. Maybe it's just, like, objective.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
we're estranged. I haven't seen him for a long time.
Yes. And then in his mind, he's like, on purpose.
Yeah. It's like, fuck that guy.
Yeah. It's interesting, the sort of, like, illusion that is, or not, the link that's drawn between Kureno and Yuki that isn't necessarily explored directly in the manga. It's kind of I wonder if they'll lead into that more.
Yeah. I thought it was a nice touch, because there is a little bit of a, like we've seen recently with, like, Kureno kind of, like, like he was paying attention to like Yuki's like whatever he said to Akito that time, whatever you want to call that, and like obviously like
at New Year's.
Yeah. I was gonna say it was like rebellion, but
Akito thinks of it as betrayal.
Yeah, but like he was paying attention to that and noticed it as like something that stuck in his mind as like the whole people changing thing. So it's kind of interesting to sort of draw that connection a little earlier on.
I think Kureno is like someone Kureno seems to be the kind of character that's very like observant and empathetic. And so like he probably saw Yuki a lot in the house.
Yeah.
They all knew. That's why they're all worried about him, right? So
yeah. And like we see like later on that like Kureno's like curse breaking, which was the thing that, you know, led to him being like totally controlled by Akito, but also led to Akito like snapping and being like really abusive to Yuki. So it makes sense that there's probably some overlap in their like experiences there.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, maybe deep down he knows that that's why Akito is so controlling of Yuki. Maybe he feels guilty.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Hatori feels guilty for erasing all Yuki's friends' memories.
I feel like he does, like, on some level feel, like, guilty for his position. Because, like, we talked about it a bit when, like, in his conversation with Uo, where he says, like, I'm sure I'm happier than anyone else and stuff. Yeah.
I'm the happiest man in the world. And then you could see the corners of his mouth, like, twitching while he's trying to smile, but can't. A single tear falls.
Yeah. I'm so happy.
And it was like, be happier.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's a little addition that's nice.
Just the way they did it with him, like, in the dark room after we've seen, like, baby Yuki in the dark room so many times in the flashback.
Yeah, looking very similar. We talked also about how bland he is or whatever, but it just seems like he's so, like, you know, just...
resigned.
Yes, exactly. Very downtrodden. And you can see it in the way that he acts, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Not boring, just sad.
Yeah.
I stand by what I said before.
Should put that on a pin. Kureno, not boring, just sad.
Boring, just sad. At the top, it's round shaped. At the top, it says not boring, and on the bottom, it says just sad. It's a little sad bird.
Yeah.
Should I start making merch?
Yeah.
We have, like, not that many episodes left, so I don't know what the value would be, but it's funny. On an unrelated note, I thought about making us like embroidered patches that said Shiny Oddish Society or whatever it was. Shiny Oddish Club. But that's a lot of work, so I decided not to. But I did consider it. And
You're like, but in my head they looked great.
In my head they look wonderful. It's like an embroidered patch, like a biker style. You know?
Get leather jackets and start a gang.
Shiny Oddish Society, bitch.
The SOS.
Guys, the SOS. There's another attack by the SOS. Did you hear? It's like the motorbike grannies from Monty Python.
Yeah.
What were they called? I can't remember. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I can't remember.
They have the, like, signs or whatever that say "Make tea, not love."
Yeah.
Hell's Grannies?
Hell's Grannies, yeah.
Anyway, Fruits Basket.
Kureno's pining for the fields.
If you hadn't nailed him to the perch. No daisies.
It's like the best line.
What do you think the crossover is of Fruits Basket fans and Monty Python fans?
Probably decent.
I wouldn't be surprised. It seems obscure and like nerdy enough to attract the right crowd.
Yeah. I think a certain age of internet fandom was just like automatically into Monty Python.
Yeah.
So
perhaps via their parents, in my case.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. And more spoilers from this episode. Any of them? Let me think.
I don't
Well, I guess there's just like more Tohru worrying about her mom stuff that's coming up. What do you think the next episode is going to be? We can talk about that, and we should. If it's not Hatori and Mayako, I'm going to be really annoyed. Just saying.
Yeah.
Because
was that her saying it at the end?
I couldn't tell, but it could be.
Yeah.
It was like a very short line, so
yeah. It wasn't like an immediately familiar voice.
It wasn't an immediately familiar line either.
Yeah, that's the problem. But,
it wasn't like you cried for me or something.
Yeah.
Or like I don't know what I can't remember any specific dialogue of hers from that.
Yeah.
That stands out a lot, but I really hope so. They better not skip it. I'm gonna be annoyed. It's an interesting like pace choice to have all these beach things and then cut away to that, because it's like completely unrelated to like do you not want to go into like the Yuki stuff that's happening right after this, or to have a break? Is it better to have a break, I guess?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. There was always kind of a cutaway to that, so it would just be like turning it into like a short-term flashback.
Yeah. That's what I assumed they would do as soon as they brought Shigure to the beach. I was like, oh, well, it has to be like a memory now because it was in the past.
Yeah. Because like in the manga, it's like we had the kids at the beach for a little while, and then like they have that cutaway, and then Akito arrives at the beach.
It was before the stuff that happens in this episode. So, yeah. So they cut straight into this. This episode, because it was so like long and went into the credits, it felt like kind of a big episode. Like
yeah, it felt like kind of like a mid-season finale.
It did, but it's like the 8th episode or
yeah,
not even 7th episode. So it's kind of interesting. I think there's just a lot of material to focus on, so they probably just ran it into the credits. But it had because of that, it had that feeling to it. So
yeah,
and it is.
Yeah, anytime you have the credits and like songs with lyrics cutting over the final act, it's gonna seem epic. So
it's true. It's a big moment for Yuki. It's just kind of weird in this point in the season, I guess.
Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah. I'm not complaining about that.
Yeah, like it was a volume ender in the manga, so it would make sense to cut away for a bit if you wanted to kind of treat it as a like big reveal kind of thing.
Something force people to wait for the next act.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. Hard to gauge from the 3-word title.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
Hard to. I mean, you'd have to really, really listen to their voice, like the voice there, and then Mayako's voice actress's voice from her very few lines that she's had to know if it was her. But
yeah, it's definitely a like female voice.
Yeah, a higher pitched voice.
Yeah.
Not Hatori's voice, for example.
Yeah.
The deepest voice of all.
Yeah. And it didn't sound like Tohru or Kisa or even Akito, like, really.
Momiji's voice didn't sound like Akito. Yeah. Didn't really sound like something like Yuki's. I don't know. Didn't sound like anybody who's there. I think it... So, and also like the way, like, well, it's true. It's kind of sassy. Like it kind of has a Mayako ring to it, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was her. But
yeah, like I think it like tone wise it could have been Akito, but I don't think the like inflection was very Akito. So yeah.
So I guess it could. Hopefully, it's that Hatori Mayako stuff, but also it could be the next. Like it could be one of the sassy things that Akito says to them when they're visiting one by one, like to Haru or to Yuki. So it could be that, I guess, but I don't know. Yeah. Guess we'll see.
Yep, we'll see.
More wild speculation.
Yeah, I figure it's one of those.
I think my hit rate is 50-50 right now in terms of guessing what the next thing is going to be. So.
Well, that's the fun of weekly series.
Ooh, I know. It's so exciting. Guessing.
It's kind of fun that we can still guess about stuff even though we know like everything happens in the series.
That is fun. I like it. I appreciate it. Like, what is this? And then as soon sometimes you know for sure, but
yeah. All the fun of speculating on an ongoing series without any of the like heartbreak.
But even then, like, even if you know like what specific scene the one quote is from, then it's like who knows what the rest of the episode is going to be. Like sometimes they add random stuff or whatever. So
yeah,
still a toss up, and I like it.
Yeah, it's fun.
It was a good episode. Series is good so far. I like it. Season's going well.
Yep. I heard the dub is starting back
I
up
meant to say
again.
that.
I didn't have time to look and
I didn't watch it yet. It would
watch
be
the newest one, but
episode 4. So
yeah,
the dub supposedly is back on. I haven't checked myself, but they announced it on the Funimation Twitter. So if you were waiting for the dub to come back, now is your time.
Yes.
Although maybe you're like 4 episodes ago behind, or whatever, 3. So it's cool they were able to get that together in like a couple of weeks or whatever. That's impressive, I think.
Yeah.
Or who knows how long it's been, but not too long, I would imagine. So
yeah,
that's good. Yeah. Anyway, I don't have any other things that I want to talk about for now. So, all right, cool. Let's wrap it up. Next time we'll talk about whatever comes up in episode 8. Mystery. So, we'll see you all then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.